This is Edip. I am in Phoenix, Arizona for a conference, 4th of February 2017. Here I would like to invite a gentleman named Dawid Woods. Dawid Woods. He has numerous videos against, in quote, Muslims, which I don't consider most of them Muslim, because Islam means peacemaking. Muslim is a peacemaker. It's not a particular sect in the name of Muhammad. It is the system promoted since first rational human being. But of course, there are many warmongers among us. It is, I can divide humanity into two groups. One is those who want to solve the conflicts through peace. They spend more energy in peacemaking, in conflict resolutions, and those people who are arrogant, who want to say, I am the first, I am the dominant, I am the best, I have to dominate you, dictate to you what I believe. And they are warmongers. Throughout history we see really the conflict between these two groups. Of course, the peacemakers had to defend themselves against the aggression of this group, but peacemakers are not invaders, are not imperialists, are not jihadis in a sense that is distorted. But unfortunately, they change even the history of peacemakers. For example, depicting Muhammad as a warmonger, which is just the opposite of reality. I discuss it with so much evidence that you can find it in, if you are interested, with my debate with warmongers like Robert Spencer or Ali Sina. Please check Amazon.com for Peacemaker's Guide to Warmongers, where I had lengthy debates with these people. I exposed them. They are real warmongers. They want to have wars and massacres in the name of Christianity, or in the name of Sunnism or Shiism or Catholicism. I would like to invite Dawid Woods for a debate on this. If you are interested in knowing my position, check 19.org, where you will see you can download for free Manifesto for Islamic Reform. See, compare Sunni and Shiite teachings with the teachings of the Quran. And also I have translations of the Quran. I have translated into 2 languages, Turkish and English. My English translation is titled Quran, a Reformist Translation. It is fundamentally different than most other translations, except the translation of Rashid Khalifa. It is improvement of Rashid Khalifa's translation. And also in the footnotes you will see philosophical discussion on verses, or rebuttal to the criticism against the teaching of the Quran, and exposition of falsehood in hadith literature, and also extensive comparison between the teaching of the Quran and Christianity and Judaism. This translation, Quran, a Reformist translation, is the most extensive cross-reference to the Old and New Testament, and also philosophical arguments. Let's listen to this gentleman a little bit. I know my...
The hadith, not just weak hadiths, anything I quote from the hadith, even if it's classified as strong by Muslim scholars. Let's look at an example. Here's a recent comment on my video about Muhammad telling his followers to drink camel urine. Nowhere in the Quran says these, that camel urine heals, etc., etc. All is written in hadith. We Muslim believe Quran because this is the word of God, and hadith was written after the death of Prophet Muhammad. Therefore, all the hadith cannot be true because it's written by man. Notice that he wrote, the hadith cannot be true because it's written by man. So following this reasoning, if I write 2 plus 2 equals 4, it's not true because it's written by man. Strange rules Muslims come up with.
Well, he's smart, but he's basically misrepresenting his position. This is fallacy of the straw man argument. He's doing a perfect example of straw man fallacy. This guy didn't mean that, meant the Quran is by God. The author of the Quran is God, not necessarily physical written by things. You can write Shakespeare by your hand, but it is not your book because you wrote it, Shakespeare's writing. It is written by Shakespeare. Anyway, but he goes on that one. Let me, his example.
Desperately to defend
he's a smart guy.
a radio discussion with one of them once. His name is Hamza Abdul Malik.
Okay.
Their position is that the Quran is the word of Allah. And if someone sends you a letter, you don't praise and glorify the mailman for delivering it. So why are Muslims focusing so much on Muhammad? So there is an intellectual position that rejects the hadith as authoritative. But Muslims who take this position are regarded as heretics by most Muslims.
Concedes.
Why are they regarded as heretics? Because other Muslims are convinced that some of Islam's most fundamental teachings and practices come from the hadith, and that the Quran can't really be understood without the hadith. Orthodox Islam is built upon the twin foundations of the Quran and the hadith.
Yes, it's shirk, dualism. God plus Muhammad. In fact, they don't stop with hadith. They go also to imams and alims and zalims. Yeah, it is a limited partnership religion, their religion. God plus Muhammad plus Sahaba means Prophet Muhammad's friends, holy friends. Each of them like stars. Each of them guides. Contradictory information, therefore each of them are right. Is right. And later they added the imams of sects and then sub-imams of the sects. Alim, they call, most of them are zalims or jahils. Okay, here it is his argument. I don't want to make
reject the hadith simply because they're so embarrassed by what we find in the hadith. Let's go through my response to see why they've got a problem. I begin by pointing out the obvious inconsistency.
I want you to.
Cannot be true because it's written by man. Your comment is written by man, so I guess it can't be true. Nice job refuting yourself. More to the point, the Quran commands Muslims to submit to Muhammad's decisions, Quran 465. Muhammad's decisions are found in the hadith, not in the Quran. So you can't obey the Quran without obeying Muhammad in the hadith. The Quran also declares that Muhammad is the pattern of conduct for Muslims, Quran 33:21. Muhammad's conduct is recorded in the hadith, not in the Quran. Islam's most basic practices come from the hadith.
Okay, now he goes on, of course these are exactly the Sunni arguments. He borrows all these Sunni false arguments against the Quran. He uses against us, these gentlemen. We have refuted these distortions based on the verses of the Quran referring to Muhammad. Obeying Muhammad according to the Quran, obeying the messenger is exactly obeying the God, because messenger's whole mission is to deliver the book, the Quran given to him. Numerous verses clearly stating this. Therefore, he's like a mailman delivering the message. You have to follow the message. The mailman, وَمَا عَلَى الرَّسُولِ إِلَّا الْبَلَاغِ. And for example, verse 6:19 says, قُلْ أُوحِيَ إِلَيَّ هَذَا الْقُرْآنُ لِأُنذِرَكُمْ بِهِ وَمَنْ بَلَغَ. Say, I am giving this book in order to deliver to you and those who ever receives it. Now, many verses of the Quran, I have extensive debate, and you can see one of my debates, I think it is in airport, Edip Yuksel, airport, Pakistani. I found a Pakistani, random Pakistani, but he was a good Sunni. But that debate, of course, I had debated with top religious clergymen in Turkey. He escaped from live studio twice, Professor Dr. Süleyman Ateş, and also the imam of the biggest mosque in New York, Shamsi Ali, in his own mosque in Manhattan on the 97th Street, I believe. It was anyway, and in his own mosque we had interview for the documentary called Running Like Zebras. He really ran like a zebra. Initially he started with a smiling face, praising his sect, of course he calls Islam, and then when I exposed his sect through asking few questions gently, and he absolutely changed, flipped over, got very angry with me, stood up and started accusing me and ran from his own mosque. And I was sitting in a chair in the middle of the mosque and the recording crew there, and then he left. You will see there. Therefore, now Muhammad, of course, he was a human being. At the same time, he was the leader of a multinational, multi-religious, multi-ethnic group in Medina city. That time the name was called Yathrib. Jews, Christians, and pagans, and also there were those who trusted God. Mu'min means the one who trusts God, but all of them were Muslims. In English means peacemakers. Again, to be peacemaker, you do not need to be a mu'min. It is mistranslated as believer, really. The word belief means without reason to believe anything by the bandwagon around you. It is not. It means trusting based on evidence. Al-bayyina, al-burhan. The means evidences and signs. He was the leader of a multi-religious nation, and in fact it was a diversity of the laws there too. There was one constitution that they accepted Muhammad not as a messenger of God, but as a trustworthy, just leader of the city-state. It was a secular, federal city-state. And Muhammad was also, by those who accepted the Quran, his messenger, he was their leader in terms of being a messenger. But all of them were Muslims, peacemakers, Christians, Muslims, Jewish Muslims, pagan Muslims. All of them, they were Muslims, peacemakers. It is not, when you say I'm a peacemaker, you may not have even belief in God. You may be an atheist Muslim, an atheist peacemaker. But this fact is very clearly stated in the Quran in chapter 49. It is stated that someone says, I am a believer. The Quran says, no, you're a peacemaker, but you are not a, is mistranslated as believer. And sometimes I refer to it that way because it is so commonly mistranslated. I trust in God. The Quran says, no, you have not yet trusting in God. You are a submitter to peace. You are a peacemaker. Every person who trusts in God is a peacemaker, must be a peacemaker, but every peacemaker is not a mu'min, is not trusting God necessarily. Therefore, Muhammad as a leader, he was to be obeyed because he was voted, he was elected by people. Mubayah. Mubayah means two ways of promising each other. They promised Muhammad when they voted for him, Muhammad promised them. It was mutual, two-way promising each other. It was responsibility on each side. But later they made it, bay'ah means one way promise to the king, to obey the king. When during Umayyad times it is distorted. But the Quran requires a democratic election, a leader is elected. In fact, 4 leaders were elected, unfortunately, by the forces of reactionary forces. Those who associated others to God, those who were not free, they associated religious leaders or political leaders to God. They exaggerated the power of another human being. They subjugated themselves. Those they attacked from inside and outside. They killed after Muhammad, they killed these successors. The word successor is a wrong word. Those who were elected successors. They were killed not by Muslims, they were killed by those who were against Muslims, who were against peacemaking, who were against peace. And then, of course, afterwards they brought sultanate, khilafat, which is, khilafah means succeeding elected representative or president. Anyway, therefore Muhammad as a leader, when he was alive, his decision was to be obeyed, but he had to also consult others. There was a consulting body. The Quran says clearly, specifically ordered to Muhammad as a leader, you consult people around you. And the Quran puts it as a universal procedure for Muslims, peacemakers. وَأَمْرُهُمْ شُورَى بَيْنَهُمْ وَأَمْرُهُمْ شُورَى. It is, their affairs is based on consultation. And anyway, therefore, this gentleman is understanding the verses, obeying to Muhammad, which we cannot obey Muhammad as a leader. He is dead. He is gone to his Lord. Therefore, he's conflating some of the verses that tells us as a historical fact what happened, that the Quran, the statements of the Quran, they are not abstract, obscure, theoretical statements, but they are in fact practically, it was applied to a diverse group of people, and it was also successful, though it was for a short time. And in one way, it effects also lasted for centuries. Muslims contributed to many sciences because of the teaching of the Quran, promoting reason and questioning and observation and studying God's signs in nature. The word ayat is both is used for the verses of the Quran and also for God's laws in the nature. It is the same thing. Therefore, anyway, I don't want to go over this for long, because I would like to discuss with David Woods. David, you hear me here? Here it is, a open challenge. Let's discuss. Let's see whether your argument will stand, not against a straw man, but against me. Let's see, there's a, yes, Shahada doesn't exist in the Quran the way they are saying, because the Quran 30 times La ilaha illallah, La ilaha illahu is mentioned, means there is only one God. Nowhere Muhammad is attached to God or Jesus or Moses, none. Because the message of monotheism is only we have one creator. We should not divide ourselves by idols we fabricate, we carve out of human beings or out of anything. And then because of idols we fight with each other. No, there is one creator of the universe. He is the Lord of the universe, Rabbul Alameen. And we all are equal in his things. He created us as human beings. He honored us. I use the word he, it doesn't necessarily mean in English, unfortunately. We have to say that, but it's not like a human being or male God out there. We are all children of Adam according to the Quran. Like look at chapter 49, verse 13. Male or female, no superiority. Or this race, that race, no superiority. The superiority is only based on your good action, righteousness. The verse is very clear. Please refer to it and read the verse. Therefore, we are divided by religious clergymen of any religion or politicians based on our tribes and race and nationalism is another division is made. Our religions and sects, we are made enemies to each other. They divide us and conquer us. They divide us and we start killing each other in the name of God or in the name of this nation, this flag, all made up by the rulers who themselves, they are not in front lines, neither their children. They accumulate wealth and power, but the children of the poor people, they go kill each other in the name of one flag, waving a flag, stupid flags, idols of our time, or a book, another idol, because that book is misrepresented. The book is not waved to kill other people, another human being. Peacemaking is the system. Therefore, I may be very disagreeing with you on theology or on any issue on politics, but we must come resolve of the issue peacefully. We must push peaceful resolutions and solutions. We must spend our energy, mostly our money, mostly onto resolving the conflicts, not to just use anything an excuse to declare war and fight over another group or another nation. Unfortunately, Satan, the evil forces, visible or invisible, humans or invisible forces, ideas that jump to the gun, and we see it throughout history. Unfortunately, those who claim to be Muslims, they are just using the word Muslims, empty meaning, has nothing to do with the peacemaking, or Christians who supposedly follow Jesus, who is a model peacemaker, but throughout history they committed so much atrocity, killed millions of people in the name of Jesus, and even now they are doing by using proxy powers like American military, and they go vote. More than 81% of even evangelicals voted for Trump, who is a warmonger, who is a bully, who says, I am the first. No, we are all first human being. I am the first. Ego. No messenger stood for it. Jesus did not stand for this egoism, this I am special, I am better than you. No, not that way. Okay, your ideas may be better. If you are better, then you will be peacemaker. You will have empathy to the poor, for the underdog, for the oppressed. You will not be stealing people's money, having billions of dollars accumulated while there are hungry people on the street. You will not be trying to be around the world, go invade other countries and kill millions of people. Like in Iraq alone, 1 million people killed based on lies fabricated by Bush and Co. and other so-called born-again Christians, supported by Christians. Of course, I want to exclude peacemaking Christians. There are fantastic Christians who are standing for peace, who are standing for justice, like Unitarian Universalists, or from Protestants and Catholics. I have seen, though I disagree with their belief system, some of them, I disagree with their shirk, but I see them standing for peace recently. Perhaps you cannot find stronger critics of Sunni and Shiite religions than me. Read my articles and my books. Go check 19.org, just read some articles. And you will hear my also conferences, and especially in Turkish language. I'm a very strong critic of Sunni and Shiite religions. My life is threatened. I have multiple death fatwas issues against me. My friend, my mentor, Dr. Rashad Khalifa, was killed by Sunni Al-Qaeda terrorists. But at the same time, though I am the strongest critic of them, I also defend the general population, which is, they claim to be, but they are not really radical, they are not warmongers, and they are depicted all as terrorists, and therefore this is helping the extremists among them. I am against discrimination against Muslims, or because, well, you can find a lot of teachings, bad teachings, in the name of God inserted into the Old Testament. Read Leviticus and several other chapters. You'll find a lot of killing and murdering other people, unfortunately, cruelty throughout. But if someone reads it but don't follow them, you cannot blame that person. You cannot declare them as enemy to be killed. Correct? At the same time, we know that even the last decade, those who claim to be Christians, they killed many more of those who claim to be Muslims. I do just look at the last 10 years, in last century again, Christians killed millions in the World War I, World War II, in Philippines, in Vietnam, in many, in Iraq alone. But somehow Christians are very good in propaganda machine. Well, you go kill, you drop bombs on cities, you kill hundreds of thousands of civilians and chop them in. And you know, when that bomb falls from your airplane, you show glorious airplane with smiling pilot has just pushed the button. You don't show the picture down on the streets of the city, maimed bodies and people lost their limbs, or people who are dying, suffering, those who are wounded, or the orphans, those who are traumatized. You don't focus on that. You don't even show, you don't even count their numbers. You don't care. But if they come to your country, they hit you, oh, terrorists. And you are the terrorist too. You are in fact 666 times more terrorists than them. Because you put a clothes on yourself, good clothes, and you wave a flag, you push the button, with a bomb you destroy Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Isn't terror? What is it? Ask the people down there whether you're terrorizing them or not. Awe and shock. Based on a big lie, you went, invaded Iraq. Saddam Hussein was a bad guy? Yes, of course. But he was fed by you. For years, you fed Saddam Hussein with military help, with support, political support. Rumsfeld was shaking hand with Saddam Hussein when Saddam Hussein gassed 5,000 Kurdish people in Halepce. Don't tell me lies. Terrorists, the states are the biggest terrorists. Governments are the biggest terrorists. Look at the civilians killed just recently. This guy, Trump, just during the first week, killed civilians in Yemen through bombing, and they killed Awlaki's second child. Is it an accident? The first child was about 15 years old boy. They killed him. It was an accident. Somehow another incident, they again by accident they killed the second child, 8 years old girl. Children, and this guy also said it, says we are going to kill the children, the family of the terrorists. Hello? What's the difference between you and them? They are also saying we are going to kill the children of the invaders, colonialists, imperialists, who invade our countries, who kills us. You are no different. You are torturing them, they will torture. You are complaining about their torture and beheading, you behead them, you torture them too. Beheading means what? Beheading is only this way. With the bombs, don't you behead? I am ashamed. I am ashamed of these people who claim in my name as a human being that they are for human rights. Therefore, whether you are a Christian or a Jew or a Muslim or an atheist, whoever you are, we peacemakers need to be united for peace. We stand against warmongers who divide us, who make great profit out of wars. The military-industrial complex is running on blood. It's huge profit-making industry, and it has sub-industries too. It feeds. Therefore, the Western world is fed, unfortunately, through blood. It's blood of people around, and you justify it through big lies propaganda machine. Your killings, your invasions, you are all around the world. You don't want them to come to your country, you don't go to their country too, but you go to their country with your militaries, with your guns, with your bombs, or with puppet dictators. Leave them alone. Let them live in their hell and misery and find out their ways to come out the cave age, Middle Ages. But you don't allow them. In fact, you make it even worse for them by supporting tyrants or by killing them and creating ISIS. ISIS is created by the United States invasion of Iraq. And I have great doubt that really the top, in deep, hidden in the United States oligarchy, there are groups of people deliberately they want some kind of controlled terrorism around the world in order to scare us, in order to create pretext for more military, more wars, and more invasion of our privacies, more control. Again, pay attention. It is very easy to eliminate terrorism. It is very easy. Years ago, I offered solution. It's common sense, reasonable. It's not a matter of with military you go invade the countries, you destroy people. In fact, you create more terrorists out of them. It was a very, but unfortunately I am sidelined. My voice is suppressed. Reformist translation of the Quran in 2007, it was going to be published by Macmillan, Palgrave. It is subdivision of Macmillan. They even announced in their upcoming pamphlet that it will be published, and we got very good reviews from prominent scholars. What happened? Secret name. The last moment, somehow they have to have the veto power over this. And then someone, the name is still hidden, says, nope, don't publish this. And it was not published by Palgrave. I had to publish it, but therefore with limited exposure. Anyway, Dawid Woods, I invite you to for a discussion on this. If you are available, we can use Skype or Google Hangout. Maybe that's a good one. From 19.org, you can find my email. It's a little bit in puzzle way I put my email. You need to be able to find simple answers for some questions there in order to find out my email there. Contact me through my email, and if you are a little bit talented, perhaps you will be able to find my phone number too. Contact me, let's have a friendly discussion on this issue. I don't want to go over this because it will be redundancy, and it will be nice to have a Socratic dialogue discussion. Thanks.